Every Saturday morning at dawn, a shopping center parking lot in New Orleans East transforms into a Vietnamese market.
You got squash, la lot, rhodeye, bitter melon, gourd, Malabar spinach.
Malabar spinach.
My tour guide, Peter Nguyen, is a community leader for Vietnamese immigrants living in New Orleans.
This is steamed gluten rice with mushroom and pork inside. Yummy.
The market is a town square for the city's 25,000 Vietnamese people. Here, they can munch on traditional prepared foods and buy Vietnamese vegetables and herbs grown by their neighbors in small farms nearby. Many Vietnamese came to New Orleans in the 1970s after they fled the country following the fall of Saigon. Their new city's balmy weather felt a lot like home, and it turned out to be an ideal place to do what they knew best: fishing and farming.
The fishing boat that I had took me to the middle of the ocean, and I was picked up by the American 7th Fleet and taken to Guam Island. I came here and started this garden. I started small. This area was very rough. Trees were everywhere, so I slowly cut them down and started burning them. Some neighbors called the police to report me, but I was very careful.
Like Liu, many of these immigrants created home gardens to grow the traditional fruits and vegetables they could not find locally. Here, backyards, front yards, edges of levees, and vacant lots abound with food destined for the growers' own dinner tables. Anything left over is sold at the market.
There are literally hundreds of these plots. We're just walking next to some of these farms, and you can see these are bitter melons. They're called phu qua in Cantonese. There's also some yucca and potatoes growing along here. The reason why they're grown here specifically is because it's next to the canal, which has a lot of water. Over here we have some bi gourds, bi, which in Vietnamese, there's a particular type of melon. But these are growing from vines which are supported by these trellises overhead.
These unusual ingredients have not gone unnoticed in this food-obsessed town. James Beard award-winning chef John Besh, who owns 6 restaurants, comes to New Orleans East every week to shop in the market and to eat pho.
For the past 20 years, I've been purchasing vegetables from the Vietnamese farmers market. They cut, they rinse in rainwater, they sell. You can't get much fresher than that. You can't get much more sustainable than that. I didn't do it, I swear. I came up in a time of cooking in New Orleans where a lot of the cooks that I cooked with were Vietnamese ladies of this community. And I would meet one and then meet another and invited to the house, and then they meet the father. And before you know it, I've really kind of gotten to know a lot of people from the community.
Father Vien is a pastor of the Mary Queen of Vietnam Church. The church is the center of the Vietnamese community. It helped resettle these immigrants when they first arrived in New Orleans, and it's actively working to keep their farming tradition alive.
We are an agricultural people. There's no grass per se in people's yards. You have gardens, you have herbs and spices, you have all of that.
Hurricane Katrina totally devastated this area and the gardens within it. The Vietnamese rebounded quickly, and with the spirit of renewal came a new dream: to combine all of these family gardens into one central, sustainable urban farm and market to serve as the heart of a community and as a source of income for its residents. People like John Besh, Peter Nguyen, and Father Vien have been working with the Mary Queen of Vietnam Community Development Corporation to make that dream a reality.
It was the question of how are we going to sell our products? That was the concern of my people, that they can grow it, but where they can sell it. And so I promised them that I will find an outlet. And then at the same time, John Bash heard about us, what we were trying to do. He said, let's do it together.
What I wanted to do was prompt some of the rebuilding efforts here in this area that was terribly affected by the storm. You know, we're spending about $5 million a year just on groceries, and I'd like to spend about as much of that here locally as I can. I just look forward to the next chapter of taking it even farther, and hopefully one day seeing about 80% of our fruits and vegetables come from this locale.
The plan is to have 28 acres of space to accommodate personal gardens, an area to raise livestock, and land to grow produce for local chefs like John Besh. The community has enlisted several universities and design firms to help make this farm as sustainable as possible while still maintaining some traditional growing practices. The hope is that the new endeavor will attract the young Vietnamese and thus ensure the passing down of this long-standing cultural tradition.
The youth are seeing this farming as hard work, not a lot of money. You can't live on it. But the elders seeing it differently. It's extra income.
This is also a great hobby. I was talking to some farmers out here just the other day, husband and wife. They do this every morning from 5 a.m. until 7. It's the coolest part of the day, and so they're out here walking hand in hand right down the dirt path, and I think we just saw some of the other farmers taking some of their squash and whatnot, taking them home. And this is what they eat. This is how they live.
It is the issue of my people sustaining their farming practices. Agriculture is us, as you can see when you walk around this community. What we are talking about here is just an articulation of who we are as a people.
There's still many hurdles to face before this $6 million project can be realized. Still, all parties involved are confident that the project will move forward and hope to break ground within 2 years.
Hopefully, if we're successful with this over the long term, then we'll see. Maybe we'll see national chains start thinking about more responsible ways of doing business and really think about what impact are we making in our own backyards. And at the end of the day, that's how we're really going to be judged. It's not just about how great the food is or how shiny the chandeliers happen to be, but what have we done? Have we left this town? Have we left our backyard in better shape than when we found it?
To learn about John Besch's own sustainable garden, which provides produce and animal products to all of his restaurants, check out the related videos at eattv.com.